Hello everybody and welcome to Talking Marvel. I'm your host Darcy Pierce, and today we have come to the final film of the ultimate conclusion to the Infinity Saga, Avengers Endgame. Yes, this is a little sad to say. This is the last movie we get to see our favourite heroes all together that we have grown to love over the past 10 years. Enough of that. Everything we have seen and witnessed has come to an end, bringing us the best of memories with great films and casting the actors so perfectly to bring emotion and depth to their films. Avengers Endgame has set box office records that have been established in stone, like being the #1 movie sold in pre-sale tickets and being the #1 movie opening of all time, beating James Cameron's Avatar. This was an all-out classic, and Marvel had really pulled out all the stops to make this film the best ever. So today we'll be diving into all fan theories that were most popular and discuss whether they were right or wrong, or even some that were on track but misleading, and also reviewing the film along the process. The pros, the cons, well, don't accept too many bad things about this film. Also, if you haven't seen this entire film, potential spoilers will be present in this podcast. So, if you haven't seen the film, stay away from this episode. And now, let's get into it.
Excelsior!
So, the Avengers Endgame has hit the theaters, breaking a record of most tickets sold in the pre-sale period. I bought my tickets myself as well, because the reason being is this is going to be a blockbuster film jam-packed with action, humour and emotion. I won't go through the entire film. We don't need to know that, because people are listening to this should have already seen this film. Again, spoilers ahead. So, what we are going to discuss is all the fan theories and debunk the ones were right or wrong. First, we need to go through all the popular ones first. So we have the Avengers time travelling back in time, Nebula using the gauntlet to destroy Thanos and bring back all the dead characters who had previously died in Infinity War. Again, spoilers. Captain Marvel was going to rescue Tony Stark and Nebula in space, and Ant-Man was going to time travel back before the events of Infinity War and tell every hero that they need to follow him into the quantum realm and destroy all the stones before Thanos gets his hand on the stones again. And no, Ant-Man shrinking into Thanos' butt does not count, and all I can say, Ant-Man does not come close to being near Thanos' anus. So that theory is out the window. Yes, the movie is finished in the theaters at the moment, and you can maybe be able to see it near you. It's out on DVD right now, so please purchase it now. So, now, let's get back into it. I know it's a lot to take in, but that's why we're here. So let's jump right into the discussion with theory number 1. Captain Marvel rescues Tony Stark and Nebula in space. Now, this actually happened at the start of the film, other than us seeing Clint Barton's family turn to dust. This is 6 minutes into the film, but we don't see Captain Marvel time travel in any way, which isn't the point. I can say this is a theory that was right from the beginning, so we can tick this one off of being correct. Now, theory number 2 was Scott Lang time travels and uses the quantum realm to defeat Thanos. We initially thought Scott time traveled to 1983, referring to the trailer where it had Archive 1983. So, he would have had to blend in with the rest of the population, but that still wouldn't have made sense at how he hasn't aged 20 odd years, leading up to the current events. If you look back, Janet Van Dyne warned Scott to not get sucked into a time vortex, but it was believed that it was exactly what he did to be placed in 1983. Well, I can tell you, this was all wrong. Well, some of it was truth. However, he was saved by a small rodent. I know, cheesy, right? See what I did there? I'll stop now. He comes out of the quantum realm 5 years after the snap, but in the quantum realm, it was supposedly felt like 5 hours, according to Scott. So they ended up deciding to use the method of using the quantum realm and creating a time-traveling technique to each group can go into a different time period and collect all the Infinity Stones and bring them back to the current day, and simply snap their fingers to undo all of the deceased people. Now, this theory was so popular, other than Ant-Man shrinking into Thanos' butt, is so false. Before we enter the review of the film, we're going to take another short break. We'll see you very soon.
Do you like Pepsi? You can buy Pepsi in any nearby store. Pepsi is the drink for winners, not losers. If you're a winner, you need a Pepsi. Purchase now in any nearby store.
Now, we review the film.
Excelsior!
From beginning to endgame, it was packed full of hidden Easter eggs and filled with action scenes and emotional scenes. Hashtag LoveYou3000. Tear again. This was the last words we heard from Tony, but the moment before he snapped his fingers and said the iconic line that launched the entire MCU, I am Iron Man. There were a lot of cool things we got at the end of the Infinity Saga. Thor was fat, which we nicknamed Brother Thor. Cap had his dance with Peggy Carter and gave his shield to Sam Wilson, passing it on to be the next Captain America. All characters that were dusted in Infinity War were brought back to life in the final battle against Thanos' army, and my favourite scene of the film was Captain America lifting Thor's hammer and destroy Thanos with it and his shield. The whole combo of hitting his hammer through the shield and hitting it back with the hammer was unbelievable, and harnessing the power of lightning. I get goosebumps when talking about that. Quite frankly, the movie was a superhero cinematic masterpiece. Now we move to the disappointing part of the film. Now, this only lasted for about 15 to 20 seconds, but it was horrible in my opinion. All the female Avengers in the whole MCU was featured in one clip, and this was the most disappointing part of the movie. I didn't like it, and I'm sure no one else did, but that is my opinion. So, this would be the only part of the film that didn't receive positive response, but everything else outshines this small scene. So if I would like to give you a rating from a 0 to Excelsior. Well, you probably have guessed it. It was
Excelsior!
Yes, the movie garnered a 9.5 rating from IGN and 5 stars on every film review program. But those were film critics, like me. And now we are going to look at some letters I had received from fans of this podcast. First, we have a James from Alpaca. So we had to ask everyone, what did they think of the Endgame? His response was, the Endgame was very good. I'm not a big Marvel fan. I enjoyed the movie from a cinematic standpoint. The film was on point. Well done, Marvel. Thank you very much for that review there, Declan. Sorry, I called you James. Sorry. We're going to be speaking to Declan now with his review of Avengers Endgame. He says, I loved it very much. Avengers Endgame was packed full of emotion and action. I especially enjoyed the scene where Captain America got his final dance with Peggy Carter. Interesting feedback, and thank you again for that. And I have to believe that was probably one of the more touching scenes of the film. And thank you as well, and thanks to all of the people who send in their letters. Now, this movie was truly been one film for the ages. From all the hard work that has been put in by Marvel executives and, of course, the one and only Stan Lee, who provided such amazing comics and sharing the passion of helping make these Marvel films so spectacular. Again, this is your host, Darcy Pierce, and this was the Endgame review on Talking Marvel. Goodbye, everyone.